Hey, what's up, guys? It is Rapmark,
And of course, Fire Dragonfly.
and after a while, we are back doing some reviews.
Indeed.
We're still working on graphics and stuff like that, so uh,
True.
things will evolve as we progress. But we figure we'd give it a start right now. And right now, we are doing our review of Us. So, of course, naturally we couldn't do this like when it came out because again we work.
Unfortunately.
Sundays really are as close as we can get to having it out. So 2 days, I mean, that's still not
Not
bad.
bad. No.
Indeed.
Definitely
So Us, it's the latest Blumhouse Productions film, which is the same film production that made what was that one? Break In?
Yep.
Yeah,
Break
yeah,
In.
with the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was awesome.
Indeed. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, so it's pretty much covering this family who, something happens. Like, it's hard to explain because it's like so non-chronologically, and I want to save spoilers for like later. So I mean, it's the nitty-gritty is, there's this family, they're on vacation at a beach house, and weird stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
The family, the Wilsons. Personally, I really enjoyed this film. You weren't.
Truly, to be honest, I mean, I don't.
You were a little bit disappointed with it, weren't you?
Still, I did enjoy it still for what it was, but again, with them pushing it and the whole idea of it being a horror, for me, I don't feel it as much of a horror as much as a thriller, especially the more the movie went on. It just seemed more thrillerish.
And I can kind of see that. Like, I thought it started out definitely as a horror.
I can see
I
that.
mean,
Yes,
there were more jump scares at first. There was
Yeah.
more, a little less psychological. But as it went on, I could definitely see how it went into thriller territory, especially psychological thriller territory, which
Yeah.
we'll get into later.
Exactly.
But yeah, they're being chased down by doppelgangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, doppelgangers, which are essentially them. God, it's so hard to explain this without spoilers. And yeah, I mean, it's just them all over the night. As things progress, things just get crazier and crazier. So, I mean, let's talk about obviously the characters, the actors, their performances. I mean, let's talk about the Wilsons.
Yeah.
Like, what was your thought? Who was your favorite one? What did you enjoy? Do you think they did a good job with their performances?
I did think they did a good job, truly, to be honest. I mean, they were all good in their own ways. I mean, if I had to put myself in that same situation, if I was kind of in the film, I really kind of see I could have been kind of more like the mother, truly, to be honest. To have the whole mother sense of all the things that are happening, worrying about her children and everything, and then just that could have happened. I could definitely see myself being that way. When I was definitely as a teenager, I could see myself maybe a little bit like the daughter too. But
because I mean, she's like all about her phone,
Yeah.
all about that. The son is just kind of this quieter, more like shut in his shell. Is what I got from.
Yeah. I mean, and that definitely, I could see myself definitely when I was much younger, more like that too.
My favorite personally was the dad. Like,
I know, I figure.
I love Winston Duke as Gabriel Wilson was. He did an amazing job. Like, he's just this like total dad type, and it's really it. They have a lot of fun with it at first. Like,
Really?
I think they did great casting for it. I think the characters all did what they were supposed to do, especially in the beginning.
Indeed.
And then as it went on, like, I actually found myself actually rooting for this family. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. I definitely agree. To be honest.
Yeah, and of course you have their friends, Kitty and Josh Tyler, played by Elizabeth Moss, and God, I can't believe she's still around. Great job, though. Like, because a lot of Bloomberg film, like the ones that have come out so far, they've had a lot to do with like race, privilege, stuff like that.
Indeed.
Like you saw that, you know.
Yeah, of course.
And so it kind of goes into that, you know, how it's how to explain it. But I mean, definitely, like he is just this total dickhead.
Yes.
Like they're married, but they're like he's a total dickhead. She's she's the one thing I don't know how to explain. Like, what was her character? I mean, I know she obviously drinks a lot, is kind of what is implied. I guess that's like the typical housewife of the 70s or something.
Yeah.
Or
Pretty
the
much,
80s,
I mean,
90s, whatever. I don't, what time was it? Yeah. Yeah,
I think it
and
was about the 80s, yeah. 70s into 80s, I think.
that's when it's,
Just
no, it was the 80s is when it started.
Started mainly.
And then apparently it takes place modern day.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really, it is a really confusing movie because there's different timelines involved, which is why I'm having such a hard time, like, trying to explain.
Indeed.
Yeah. And then the music, like, I love the musical score for this movie. Like, do you remember it much?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy a lot of the music there, too.
Yeah, I think it kept up the tension, the pacing. You know, it was creepy when it needed to be, but it was also, like, fast-paced when it was just, like, you know, the pursuit scenes and stuff like that. And, I mean, overall, I thought it was just it was one of the better horror films I think I remember. Like, even though you don't fully consider it as a horror film, and it definitely turned more thrillerish, like toward the end, once you started figuring stuff out. But getting to the figuring out, though, like it did provide attention that for me was. But I mean, there wasn't a lot of jump scares. There was a lot of blood, and a lot of like violence.
A lot of blood and violence, of course, yes. But yeah, but no, like I said, I still enjoyed it, definitely. But I can still, I mean, yes, at the very beginning, it started off more very horrorish and just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? But then it just got to the point where it's just like, not as much for me. To me, honestly, it was just more thriller. Just, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then just the battle between what's going on and just trying to get by and just pretty much stay alive at the very end.
You know, and then of course there's the reveal of like who these people are, which we'll get into in the spoilers, and then the twist.
Exactly.
You know, which
I was unexpected.
I want to talk about it now, but we're gonna save it for the spoiler section. So, all right, but yeah, honestly, this was for me. It wasn't a top film that I've seen so far this year. We've seen a lot of films that we haven't reviewed. Obviously, unfortunately, we're just starting.
Starting again.
But this has been. I'd probably put it as at least top 10 for my things of the year.
I can still say, yeah.
But I mean, it is early. I mean, it's March still, so
exactly. It's still early.
But for me, So to be fair, I mean, this is probably our 10th film, so that's not saying a whole lot. I'm going to say that right now, but I don't think this was a bad film. I found it entertaining. I did think it did have some genre confusion. Again, it portrayed itself as a horror, and it did well at first, but then it kind of definitely went into thriller, like especially psychological thriller territory.
Yeah.
You know, I loved the characters. I loved the music. And I mean, the story itself, like, you know, from a vacation to all of a sudden, like, a doppelganger shows up and, you know, they're being attacked, and then there are freaking doppelgangers everywhere.
Pretty much.
And it's we'll get into that more in the spoilers, but yeah. I am personally going to give this an 8 out of 10 because, again, I think the movie did what it was supposed to do. It did it in an entertaining way, and the only major downside I saw to it was the genre confusion. Just like, was it trying, like, it's definitely trying to be a horror, like, and everything has portrayed it, trailers, what the director has said, it's supposed to be a horror, but it definitely went into more thriller Well, so genre confusion was pretty much the only big thing I knock it on.
Truly, to be honest, yeah, pretty much is how I felt.
Well, what about you though? Like,
Well,
what did you?
truly, to be honest, before you actually said 8, I was actually going to say 8, yes, to myself, because I don't feel like it would be fully 10 just because of the genre part for me. Mainly everything else, for me, I felt like was really, I mean, it was good for exactly what it was, and it kept me still entertained, and it's still wanting to see it actually do, of course, and figure out what's going on more, definitely, with it. And when it comes to other horrors, I mean, technically other films kind of similar to it. I mean, I still feel like it was definitely still much higher than some of the other ones that they've made, especially recently.
Indeed.
That's for sure.
And so with that, I think we are now going to go into the spoiler section. So we will be back in a few minutes with that. So.
Indeed.
Alright, welcome back, guys. So this is the spoiler section for the film Us. And so I kind of, going into this, I kind of know the reveal. So from the review we did, so doppelgangers are apparently some sort of government program to clone people and control the populace.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out, so they abandoned it. And how it starts is there's this little girl who goes into like a fun house or something like that, a mirror house, something like that.
Mirrors everywhere. It's just,
and she goes
away from her family and finds herself in the
mirror, but it's like it's her, but it's not her.
Yeah.
And then it just blacks out, and then you see all these other flashbacks where it's just like she's got PTSD. Let's teach her dad, all that other crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And as it ends up turning out, as you go late into the film, I'll just bring up the big twist at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out that her doppelganger from this program actually knocked the real girl out and replaced her in the real world.
Yeah.
And so she's been living this girl's life the whole time, like had a family, a kid, and that's why the who we think was the doppelganger mother was so mad at her and wasn't just wanted to kill her. Like doppelgangers suddenly start springing out everywhere, killing everybody. It was that, and that's another weak point of this. It's just like, where do we go from here? So I'm going to put that down as well. So and so so the doppelganger was actually her, which is why she was all about just stressing out, as well as like taking her time with it instead of just killing them like the other doppelgangers did.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she ends up killing, like, not the God, this is so confusing. So the one who is the doppelganger, but is actually, wow, goddamn. So the one who was the doppelganger,
but in the long run, was technically the mother.
The real mother.
Yes.
She attacks and attempts to kill the other one, but she ends up being killed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the flashback comes out. And then the ending is like, she's reunited with her family. Her son kind of looks concerned. Like, it's like he knows something is not quite right.
Yeah. He doesn't seem as cute as, and kind of just more fun as what he was when, of course, in the very beginning. And then puts his mask on. Yes.
So I mean, symbolically, this could be like,
where they could try to do something more, but
yeah, there are theories that all these things are like in the same universe
type thing, yeah.
Which is a cool idea. I mean, I would love to see more things in this universe, if that's kind of what's going on. I mean, the ending kind of was this sort of, well, now what? Like, is everyone in the U.S. dead? Is everyone in this little belt of the U.S. dead because of these doppelgangers? It's like, like you go into this room. It's a massive. It's underneath this fair, like this amusement park.
Area. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a large area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I mean, how many people were down there?
Exactly.
Like this like makes it seem like it's this long line across America. It's just like.
Well, because also when the movie first began, also it started off with explaining about all these tunnels and areas that are paved underneath the United States as well.
I entirely forgot about that. I
was
entirely forgot.
To think about it first. I'm like, what? Okay.
That's a weird way of looking. Oh my god. All right, so. All right, yeah, you picked up something I totally forgot about. Yeah, so there was that at the beginning, and there's also like. It starts out again at the 80s, you know, them watching TV, and there's this line for charity or something like that. Like, I forget what it was called, but
but pretty much everyone holding hands, making this belt across from one point of the United States up to the other point of the United States, kind of thing, coming together and being one with each other, kind of in a way.
Yeah. And it's super weird, like how it ends with them all the doppelgangers are just holding hands, connect. Yeah. It's like, okay, now what? Like, is everyone dead? Like, there's helicopters in the air too. Like, it's
exactly.
So the ending was, I think the ending was a little bit confused. Now that I think about it, I do like all the hints that they put in there, though. Yeah. Like the hints were there. You could have totally told the twist, the reveal as well. But honestly, the genre confusion, the ending, you know. But I think the characters, again, everything was.
I think they did a great job.
Done. I mean, there was a lot of blood. I mean, just seeing their friends get killed.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like it was just crazy. Like, and where did they come from? It's just like.
Well, because I mean, even at first when you kept seeing the trailers for it, I only thought at the beginning that it was actually going to just be them, and then when you're seeing it, of course, now their friends are kind of.
And let alone everybody.
And then let alone everybody else coming into it. It's just like, okay, that's a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. But,
yeah. And yeah, it was definitely portrayed as horror, but it definitely went into thriller mode, especially when you figure out, like, when you're going it from, like, doppelgangers, where did they come from? What are they all about? And then you go into, like, this government conspiracy to control the populace that didn't work out. And this whole plan, it was just super weird.
Yep. But it's okay.
But it went into thriller. Like, it was a good weird. It worked.
Yes, it did.
It totally worked. So, once again, I am... You know, I actually think I'm going to knock this down to a 7. Just because of the ending and how kind of confusing it was. It's just like... I mean, I know a message was being said, but it was a message that... For me, personally, I wasn't, like, I got some of it, but I'm not sure if I got the whole meaning of it. So what about you?
I mean, I could still technically kind of see it, but I mean, I'm still kind of borderline. I mean, I could still see a 7, but I could still, I mean, just again, if I'm bringing the idea again of other horrors, everything else I'm looking at, and everything else, I mean, I'm still comfortable. Still, technically an 8 myself, truly to be honest, still. Because I still felt like it was still really good for what they did and everything, and truly to be honest, it just keeps you wanting to think more what's going to happen more, if there is going to be more.
Okay. I definitely say so. Yep, that is my final score. It is really close to an 8. I still kind of want to give it an 8, but that ending and just the genre confusion, like I said, I thought it was great. I personally really enjoyed it. I thought you were going to score it lower because you definitely said it was not what you were hoping it was going to be. And it was not what you were expecting it to be.
It was actually going to be
so I'm surprised you're actually keeping it an 8.
No, I still think for what it was, everything, it was really good for what it was. But yes, it may not have been exactly what I was hoping and what I thought it was going to be, but it was still good. I still enjoyed it for what it was.
Alright, there you go. So. I gave it a 7. It was really close to an 8, though. I'm not going to lie. Part of me still wants to keep it an 8, but no, I want to give it a 7 again. And then she thought it was an 8 for some really weird reasons, but yeah.
I'm weird, but that's okay.
Indeed. So I think that's going to cover it for us. On obviously, this was pretty ad hoc. We're probably going to figure out again how we're going to put these things together,
Indeed.
as we go along. But I hope you guys enjoyed this, and we'll see you for our next movie.
Indeed.
All right, see you guys later.